Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp released this past Friday on the Nintendo Switch and has been generally well received. This remake of the original Advance Wars 1 and 2 for the Game Boy Advance faithfully recreates all the tactical complexity and fun of the originals, albeit with a fresh coat of paint and some new online features. Let's talk about this remake for just a moment and see if it's worth picking up. Having played both Advance Wars and Advance Wars 2 back in the day on my Game Boy Advance, I was very excited to see these games get a new take on life with this recent Switch remake. But for those not familiar with the series, it is a tabletop-like war simulator where you can control an army and give orders to all your individual units in order to defeat your opponent. The game features a story that begins with a country of Blue Moon invading the neighboring Orange Star for an unknown reason, which you and the commanding officers of Orange Star must uncover. As far as stories go, I remember being really into it back when I was a kid, but playing through it now as an adult, it provides enough reason for each mission, but is by no means a deep story. That said though, the focus here really is on the tactical combat, so let's talk about that. When it comes to a turn-based tactics game outside of the tactical RPG genre, you can't go wrong with Advance Wars. While at first glance the game may seem simple and easy, it has a surprising amount of depth to it. Terrain, attacks, counterattacks, unit types and costs, land, sea, and air units, and interesting and even challenging map designs can create challenges for even the most seasoned tacticians. Terrain types affect how fast units can move through them and also provide defensive bonuses to units occupying them. Each unit has their own strengths and weaknesses, such as only infantry can capture cities or bases, but are weak to pretty much every other unit. Bombers are devastating to ground units, but can easily fall to anti-air units or missiles. Then you have the map designs themselves, which can throw you for a loop and force you to use new strategies. There is even a decent variety of victory objectives, particularly in the second of the two games in this remake, that add a bit of variety to keep things interesting. Adding even more to these games' tactical brilliance is the different COs you can choose from, who each have their own advantages and disadvantages and their own unique CO powers. For instance, Max is a hard-hitting CO whose direct fire units like tanks and battlecopters do increased damage, but his long-range units like artillery have shorter range than normal. His CO power further increases the damage that his direct damage units can do for one turn, allowing you to quickly turn the tide of battle. The campaigns themselves are fairly linear, though occasionally you are given the option of several battles to choose from to advance the story. In the second game, things open up even more, usually allowing you to choose from several battles at a time, and not necessarily having to complete all of them to advance either. The second game also gives you the option to choose among different COs more often. Essentially, the first game did a great job of creating a turn-based tactical playground, and the second just made it better. Moving on now to what all exactly is in this new version of these two classics. Everything that was in the originals is here, but with the addition of online features. There is also a casual difficulty now, in addition to classic difficulty, which can be switched to at any time, along with a gallery where you can unlock different art and music from the game. Honestly, I can't remember now if these were available back in the Game Boy Advance versions or not, but I thought I'd mention them anyway. The addition of the online features is nice if you want to play with friends or even share maps with them. Which brings me to the map creator. This was one of my favorite features in the original games, and it's awesome to see it make its return here. You can spend hours here designing your own maps to challenge yourself, or as I mentioned, you can now share them with friends via the online connection. As far as replayability goes, there is possibly 100 hours or more of content here. The campaigns themselves will probably take you in the ballpark of 20 hours to complete, but that's just completing them. If you want to go back and complete the missions you didn't choose to do the first time through, or shoot for the S rank on each mission, you could take several more hours. Then there is the War Room, where you can battle on through several more challenging scenarios, shooting for S rank. There is also the Creator and Versus modes I mentioned, which could extend the game time even longer. The great part about all this content too is that it isn't 100% predictable how each battle will play out. There is enough variety in COs and units that each battle can play out very differently based on the player's choices. Now let's talk about the updated graphics and art for just a minute. I really like the new style that they went with here. I think it keeps the charm of the original while giving the game a modern look. The backgrounds and the battle scenes in particular stood out to me with their high level of detail, while the cel-shaded character art and animations for the COs helps bring them to life more so than in the originals. Now this all sounds great, but is there anything that isn't so great in Reboot Camp? Well, I do have just a couple of things to mention. First off, I was disappointed in the voice acting additions, as only a few lines from time to time are actually voiced. I had hoped that we could get fully voiced characters, but alas, that was not to be. We actually get very few voiced lines, and some of those only voicing part of the on-screen text. Then there is the APC exploit. So, in the original game, and in this remake as well, the enemy AI tends to target troop transports before other units. This means that you can often get the AI to waste turns killing an empty transport, while your artillery or whatever other unit you're trying to keep safe skates by damage-free. While this isn't necessarily a huge issue, and many players may not even notice it, you can use this fact to cheese your way around some maps. Overall though, Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp is a faithful recreation of two classic tactical strategy games, with the addition of some modern quality of life improvements that help bring these games into the modern era. I've really enjoyed my time in the game this weekend and plan on putting many more hours into it in the coming weeks. But let me know what you think. Did you play the originals? Do you like what Nintendo has done with the remakes? Let me know in the comments below. Please remember to like the video if you got something out of it, and if you'd like to see more tactical goodness, check out this video I made for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, have a great day, and keep on gaming.